Fighting Sail. Fleet Actions from 1775 to 1815 by Ryan Miller. This is part of the Osprey series Blue Book, series of war games, and I'm going to teach you how to play. I'm also going to teach myself how to play. I might be the wrong guy to teach you because I haven't actually played a game. So, a little bit of an experimentation here. We're going to go with a very small scenario because this is really more of a, think of it as a shakedown cruise, to see how the game works before we play a regular game. Now, the way Ryan recommends you play the game is 300-point battles. I've got 60 points over here and 60 points over here. Like I said, it's just a simple little shakedown. This is meant for large fleets, very little record keeping. This is just the stat sheet that I banged out really quick. And as you can see, we've got a 5th rate and a 6th rate ship over here commanded by Hala. What we're going to do here, because I don't actually have really big ships, this one with the 3 sails is going to be our 5th rate, and this single sail jobber is going to be our 6th rate ship. So it's easy to tell. More sails, bigger rating, okay? And we're going to stick those over there, and I'll show you why in a second. On the other side, we've got the American task force, which has been sent to Barbary to deal with the Zanzibarbarians, and we've got 2 different styles of ships here. We've got a 6th rate ship, and we've got a brig. So this is probably part of a larger task force, and just these 2 little ships. Actually, it's this 6th rate. It's not actually a 6th rate. Let me show you how big a 6th rate is. These figures are from Tumbling Dice, and it's unpainted. Well, it's partially painted. That's really a 6th rate. These are really brigs, but I'm gonna make it easy. I don't have it done yet. I'm kind of cobbling together a game using the materials I have on hand so that I can learn and to help keep me motivated. So, like I said, on the American side, we've got 1 6th rate and 3 brigs. And as you can see from the stats, that 6th rate has sailing as 7. It's going to roll 7 dice when it makes a sailing check. Let me lock that. Here, make it a little easier for you guys to read that. Discipline is at a 7. It's boarding is at a 5. It's got gunnery of 4 and a hull of 3. So this is the number of dice that it rolls when it has to make a check, a sailing or discipline. The Barbary pirates are actually a little more disciplined, as you can see. And like I said, they've got a 5th rate, which is a 6-8, boarding at a 4, gunnery at a 5, hull at a 3. Now, to balance things out a little bit more, what I did is I made this boat has marksmen. So when he rolls his gunnery dice, and if he rolls 1s, he's going to re-roll. You'll see what that means in a little bit. And likewise, this 6th rater over here is really nimble. So when he makes a sailing check on D6s, if he rolls a 1, the 1s can be re-rolled. You got to keep the 2nd result. Down here, the only special ability is that we've got the 6th rate, the larger ship, has a navigator, and so it will re-roll 1s on the sailing dice, and that's it. Very simple. The way the game works, you take 10% of your ship's cost, and that is your morale. So what we're going to do to keep track of those is we're going to use a simple D6. The goal of the game is to reduce your opponent's morale clock down to 0. It starts at 10% of the cost, as I said, 60 points, 60 points. Every time you hit an opponent's ship and do damage, they lose 1 point. Every time you sink a ship, you lose a number of points equal to the rating of the ship. So in this case, as you see, these 5th raters are worth 33. It's actually going to be, 33 points. So if the U.S. Navy can sink the flagship, they get 3 points taken off of their clock. Reduce that clock to 0, they strike their colors, they're done. Likewise, each of these little brigs here is only worth 1 point. You do 1 point for hurting it and 1 point of morale damage for sinking it. They actually cost 13. There's 3 of them, so there you go. And then the big guy is going to be worth 3 points. Rounding to the nearest 10. So we'll keep those right there. The next thing we need to do is establish wind conditions. And what has happened here is that the wind was blowing due south. We're going to call south at the bottom of the screen. When these 2 fleets caught sight of each other. And both of them thought, all right, good, I'm running. This is a nice, fair fight. We'll just ease on in, and I'm going to bring them in a little bit more like this too. And then something happened. And that something is that the wind shifted. And to figure out who's got the weather gauge, who has the advantage here, I'm going to roll a d6. It's going to shift on a 1. It'll be due that way. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So on a 1, the wind actually shifts like this. And now our pirate ships are they're actually at much more of an advantage, because this little hand-drawn thing, now I've got professional Litco, but like I said, I just couldn't wait. This little guy is going to tell you when you have to roll to move, to see how many movement points you get. They call them sailing points. You're going to roll this many d6s. That little ship is going to roll 7. It handles a lot easier. And depending on the direction you're moving, oh, I see. This running is if the wind is at your back, okay? That's what I need to look at. So if I'm running, I get a movement point for every 4+. If I'm reaching, then I get a movement point for every 4+. There's a couple of other little wrinkles to that, but we'll get to that when the time comes. When combat comes about, these guys have a total range of 18 inches. At 6 inches, you hit on a 4-up. At 12 inches, you hit on a 5-up. And at 18 inches, from 12 to 18, you hit on a 6-up. So that's really all there is to it. We're going to leave our compass rose down here. I'm going to move my stat sheet out of the way, and we're ready to get started. First thing you need to do is roll for initiative. And we'll roll like so. They got a 6, so they have the initiative. And that means they get to move their ships first. The first thing we got to do is roll for, and we're going to move the ships one at a time. We'll go ahead and move this first guy first. And he is going to roll 66. Remember, he's going to move for every... Now, so to figure out how many actual points he gets, we're going to put this template down. And because the wind is behind him, all right, I think I got it. So you put your template down on the side of the ship that the wind is blowing from. You can bring this over to the ship to see which quadrant, so the wind is hitting that front mast. Whenever you have 3 masts, by the way, all measurements are from the center mast. When you have 2, it'll be from the front. So with the wind blowing like that, he is coming in, he is reaching, which is ideal. So because he's reaching, he's going to get 3 successes, and he can make 3 maneuvers. That's where this comes in. Okay, so our maneuver, for every sailing point, you get to move up to 2 inches, and then you can turn 30 degrees if you want to, which I think he does. One other thing, conveniently enough, this... Oh, it's not 2 inches. Boy, I really wish that was 2 inches long. That would have made this a lot easier. Oh, no, this isn't the measurement gauge now. This is. Okay, see, we're learning. We're learning. See how it's 2 inches along that length right there? I can do one, too, if it's easier for you to understand. So you put this down, and we're just going to go ahead and move 2 inches ahead. That's our first sailing point. We're going to do it again, and we will do it a 3rd time. No, yeah, we do. We like having lots of those points. Then we're going to roll for him. And did he have any 1s? Is that the guy that... no, now we're going to roll for our 6th rate. Now, he's a little more nimble. We can roll 7 dice for him. And because he's a navigator, he can re-roll the 1s, but he's got to take it. Same alignment, same situation. He gets 2, 4, 6, 7 sailing points, so he can just fly across the table if he wants to. And because he is... so you put the template there. Actually, I guess we should probably align it with the back, because when you want to turn, so there's 1, 2, 3, and then we'll go ahead and turn. And because he moved 2 inches, he can make up to a 30-degree turn. But there's a difference. One of the things to be aware of is there's a difference between wearing and tacking. Wearing is when you turn with the wind. Tacking is when you turn against the wind. For 1 point, you can turn up to 90 degrees away from the wind. So he could actually cruise up this way if he wanted to, which might not be a bad idea. He can actually turn a full 90 degrees. Because his attitude has changed with respect to the wind, we have to check this again. So we put our template down. The wind is coming off of his starboard side now. So if the wind is blowing from this direction, he turned a full 90 degrees. So he's still reaching, and he can still make, now, you don't re-roll for the dice, but he moved 1, 2, 3 turns, and he made that maneuver. 90 degrees if you're turning with the wind at your back. If you're tacking against the wind, then you can only turn, I think it's 30 degrees, and that's what that 30-degree angle is for right there. At any rate, we have still only used 3 of our 7 points, so he can come up 1, 2, and then we'll go ahead and turn another 90 degrees. But now, is that a tack? No, because he's still got the wind at his back. So he's just going to turn 90 degrees, and he's going to come 2 more inches. And that's it for movement. Then they're going to have to move. They're going to have a rougher go of things because they are sailing against the wind. We'll go ahead and start with that 5th raider, who has a total sailing of 7 dice. Or the 6th raider, rather. So let's see where the leader is going to go first. He's going to roll 7 dice, and he's a navigator, so he gets to re-roll 1s. Without any 1s, he's still... Well, let's see. We got it. And my guess is that as you get used to this, you'll refer to it less and less. The wind is off of his port side, which means he is actually close-hauled. This is what it looks like up close. And because he's running close-hauled, he only gets a sailing point on a 5+. Now, he had a reasonable roll with 2 successes. And he's going to, you have to move 2 inches to start. So we put that on the tail. He moves his 2 inches. I should put it on this side, though, because you can move up to 30 degrees. That's his first movement point. Then we're going to move another third, but that's, what am I missing here? Oh, it costs 2 sailing points to turn towards the wind. So because he's turning towards the wind, it's going to cost 2 sailing points if you want to turn 90 degrees. Okay. I don't think he does. I think he wants to just go ahead and... Oh, we got to be careful here. Because he is going to move 2 inches to here and turn 30. That keeps him out of irons. And that's significant for a reason that will become apparent later on. And then we'll go ahead and move the 2 more inches to there. Now, it's a little awkward, if you ask me, because your movement is 2 inches. So you're going to want to put, but you're turning, I will use my ruler. You move the boat stern to the angle, and then you shift it to rotate. So we should always start with our stern at the back of this template, so that we're only moving 2 inches before and after each turn. Be that as it may, we still have 3 more ships over here that we need to move. Those are all brigs. They're all nimble, so they're all going to get to roll 7 dice. And the first one, now they don't re-roll 7s. So the first one is going to get to move once. They were in the same attitude. They're all close-hauled. The second one is going to get to move, looking for 5s, twice. And the third one is going to get to move once. We'll go ahead and send him down once. And then, oh, there's a great example. We've got to put it on this side. We're going to move him 2 inches and spin him like so. Now we're just going to move straight. This guy is going to move the 2 inches, make a 30-degree turn. Then he's going to move another 2 inches and make a 30-degree turn. So we're going to send these 2 little brigs straight ahead. They only got the one movement. We're going to send these two up around that way. That's it for the first turn for sailing. Then we're going to do shooting. They get to shoot first. We'll start with him. And he is a grand total of 9 inches away from this vessel. Oh, I got to be careful. All right. That's our 6th raider. He's got a gunnery skill of 3. So he's going to fire 3. And because he is more than 6 inches, he's between 2 and 6 inches away, he's going to have hits on a 4+. He gets 2 hits. And he's hitting a boat that's got a hull of 3. So against those 2 hits, we've got 3 saves coming up. Each 4+ cancels out 1 hit. So that gets canceled out, and this hit remains, and that means this morale clock goes down to 5. They don't like all that lead coming at their face, as you can imagine. Because we had 1 unblocked hit, he has to take an anchor token. And we're going to use a red chip right behind him to signify that he's got that token there. And that's it. Then we move on to turn number 2, and we roll off again. Yellow for the yellow, orange for the black. The GCMini.com logo is a 6, so this time the American Pirate Hunters have the initiative. And as I said, he now has an anchor token, which does 2 things. All of your sailing dice only work on a 6. He's going to, that's our 6th rate, he's going to get 7 dice, and he only gets a sailing point on a 6. So he gets 1 sailing point. If you don't get any sailing points, you get a free point. You can always move at least 2 inches, even if you don't get a single success. Unless you have an anchor token, in which case you don't even get that. Oh, you know what occurs to me, though? I only fired 1 ship, so we're not going to do that yet. He is fired, then we're going to fire this guy, and he's going to fire same thing. As you can see, he is just, so we measure 12 inches, he's just outside of range. We've got a gunnery on that 5th raider of 5, and because he is beyond 12 inches, we're only going to hit on a 6. No, 5+ rather, excuse me. Hits on a 5+. So no hits there. Then he has a chance to fire back here, and with a gunnery skill of, see, the 6th raider has a gunnery skill of 4. It'll be the same distance. Now this is called an explosion dice. And when you are firing at medium range, you get to reroll. This counts as 1 hit. So we have 1 hit, and we get to reroll this and see if we get a second one, which we did not. So it's a total of 2 hits. But if I rolled another 6, I'd be done. It would have been 3 hits. So we get 2 hits against that ship, which has a hull of, which one is that? That's our little brig. A hull of 1. So on a 4+, he negates 1, but he does take 1 damage, which lowers this morale clock down to 5. And now he gets an anchor token. The brigs over here are a squadron, but we got some issues. They can combine fire. They can even combine fire with him and add their dice to his cannon roll. But he does. This little ship does not have line of sight. It's blocked by his friend. This ship does, but I think that one is out of range. That's going to be 12 inches to there, and 6 inches is out of range. So all we have is 1 more shot, and I think that is going to be, because it's a little brig, he only gets to roll 1 die, and we need a 6. That's a miss, but he does. Do any of those brigs have... Who's the marksman here? He's the marksman. Okay, so he gets to re-roll 1s, but he didn't roll any, so we're okay. All right, so we're good. That's the end of the turn. Now we got to roll for initiative. The pirates roll a 6. They roll a 1. Pirates get to go first. He's going to try to move first. And that means he's going to get to roll 7 dice, re-rolling 1s. And he gets, but you got to keep the 1. So he gets 3 sailing points. And he'll use those to, well, first we got to move 2 inches forward. Oh, okay, we'll do it like this. Front to front. And then for 2 more points, he can turn 90 degrees. We're not going to do that. We're going to turn him 30 degrees. That's 1. I did it again. 2. 3. Oh. Maybe we don't want to do that. 2. Maybe we just want to keep moving this way. Maybe we'll skip that turn and we'll just kind of move him to there. I know that was a little sloppy. We're just testing the rules out here. And he's going to get to shoot first. So rather than cross a T, yeah. Or risk getting his T crossed. Now this guy, because he's got the yellow disc, because that means he's got an anchor point. The anchor point means that despite the fact he's got a total of 7 for his sailing, oh, he only supposed to roll 6. Anyway, he's got 7, but because he's got an anchor token, he's only going to get a sailing point on a 6. So he gets 1, 2 successes. He does get to re-roll this guy. He gets 2 movement points. That ain't bad for a guy that just took a whole big cannonade. Broadside, let's see, so he can move twice, and then, let me see here, there's something about when you're done sailing, then you can try to remove the anchor. That comes after we're done moving. He is pointing that way with the wind, so he is still reaching, which I probably should have checked before he moved, huh? We're going to move him 2 inches with his first point, and then we'll bring him into the wind, and then we'll bring him 2 inches, and we'll rotate him like so. And that's it for movement for those guys. Now we got to do movement for, then the anchor follows him. Now to remove that anchor, he's got to see how disciplined he is, and he's going to make a discipline check on, because that is a 5th rate ship, he gets, or a 6th rate ship, he gets to roll 7 dice, 2, 4, 6, 7. And if he rolls a single 6, he succeeds. He did not, so he's still stuck with that anchor. That anchor doesn't represent an actual anchor that's dropped. It represents battle damage that's limiting his ability to maneuver. We'll start with this guy. He's going to roll 7 dice, re-rolling 1s. So we'll re-roll that. And again, only 6s. So he gets 2 sailing dice. And he will... Ooh. Okay, so we're going to move him 2 inches to here. And then do the 30-degree turn. And then we'll move 2 inches to here. And we'll call up to 2 inches for that other point. And we're going to stop right there. We're going to call it good. In fact, if we can just stop right there, it's even better. Because I think we're going to be able to shoot across his bows. Which is a good thing. Now they get to roll a discipline check. And with any 6s, the anchor goes away. They got 1. So they're no longer weighed down by battle damage. We still have 3 more brigs to go. Each of those brigs is going to roll 7 dice to see how many movement points it gets. I want to start with this guy. He's going to get... we should check the weather. Check the windage again. He's moving in this direction. Wind is like so. So he's only going to get to move on a 5 up. He's got 2 of those. He does not get to reroll. He's going to go 1 point to here and do the 30-degree turn. And then he'll move a second time and he'll do the 30-degree turn like so. This guy is going to roll 7 dice and he's going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 successes. So we'll bring him up. Oh, not that way. We're going to turn him 30 degrees like this. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to turn, and then we're going to move him 2 inches to there. One more guy is going to score 1, 2 successes. Not bad, not bad at all. So we'll bring him up, we'll turn him up to 30 degrees, and then we'll go ahead and bring him up the 2 more inches to there. And it's starting to look like a proper scrum now, ain't it? They won the initiative, so they get to shoot first. We'll take a shot here with a total of 5 dice. And we're going to resist, so that's 1, no boy. Because we are within 6 inches, 5s and 6s, yeah, 5s and 6s, so that's 3 hits right off the bat, and he gets to re-roll these, and he doesn't get any more hits. Hits on a 4-up. So he does 3 hits. He gets to resist with 1 die, he fails, and that means 3 successful hits. This goes down to 2. And the damage, when you take 3 hits in a single volley, is not good, particularly for a brig. Let's take a look at this damage chart. On a 1, you're disrupted, which means you get an anchor token. On a 2, she's not focusing. On a 2, you get an anchor token, unless you already had one, and then you get damage. And on 3, you get an additional damage and an anchor unless you already had one. So he actually takes an anchor and 2 damage. We'll use the red for that. He may be able to repair those. He's going to go ahead and fire as well. Now, he could have added his die to that same attack. And with a hit, that actually becomes a total of 4 damage, which it might end the game. Because that would have been the way to go. Heavy damage, 2 damage tokens and an anchor. Oh, on 5 or more, the ship is sunk. So that wouldn't have made any difference. So he takes 1, then he's going to roll his hull. He saves. We'll play it straight. So he survives. But now it's their turn to shoot back. And he's going to open fire here with all... He's within 5 inches, and he's within 5 inches. So these 2 guys, because they're within 6 inches, they can add their 2 dice to him. His gunnery of 4 goes up to 6 on this single attack. 2, 4, 6. Because of these guys. But we need to roll them separately. Because he is crossed the T, he's got his broadside shooting along the hull. His exploding dice, any 5s and 6s, get re-rolled. So he does 3 damage to start. And then we re-roll those, and he does no more damage. But if those were 5 and 6s, you would keep rolling and adding the hits. Then we get these 2 more shots, and those are going to be misses. So we did 3 damage that ship needs to save. And as a brig, it's only going to get to roll 1 die. It'll save one of them. And with the 1 damage, he's going to... I think he already has an anchor. I don't think he takes any damage. All of that gets an anchor token unless it already had one. So, but that still is an unblocked hit. So this goes down to 4. Then we've got one more ship here that can fire. He's only going to fire 1 die. It's going to be a hit. Oh, and it's an exploding, but it only does 1 damage. It's unblocked. So this goes down to 3. And with the 1 damage, he's already got an anchor token, no effect. So big roll here for initiative, because whoever gets the initiative is going to get to shoot first. U.S. Navy gets to go first. You have to move 2 inches or you get an anchor token. So the question becomes, does he want to sit tight? Well, the first thing is you have to roll your sailing dice. So he's got to roll all 7. He re-rolls any 1s. Because he is running in irons, he only gets a movement point on 6. He gets the anchor token anyway. He is sailing directly into the wind. It's hard to do, so he doesn't move. In fact, he's sailing directly into the wind as well. Oh, but he can make a discipline check to see if he gets rid of that. The U.S. Navy has a discipline of 7, so if he gets a single 6, which he does, that goes away. This guy, only on a 6s. Wait, 2, 4, 6. I rolled 1 too many, so we'll take away 1 6 just to make it fair. So he actually gets 3 movement points. And we're going to go ahead and move 1 and turn. And then we'll move. We're going to move a little bit less. So he's going to move to here. Now he has an opportunity to escape. He's clearly trying to move into grappling range. That little brig says, I think I can board and take him. Grappling gets a little bit complicated because you have an opportunity to take evasive actions. This is an additional free movement outside of the normal movement turn. So he says, no, I'm good. I'll move this up here. Then he has an opportunity to avoid the collision. He has to make a sailing test. That is a 6th rate ship. It uses 7 dice. So on any 6, he fails. That means he, as the moving ship, is going to move right like that. They are now entangled. Give each ship an anchor token. So he now has an anchor token as well. They line up bow to stern. When a ship starts entangled, it may choose to disengage, but it cannot attempt to remove its anchor token. He rolls. Well, let's finish our movement first. We got 2 more ships over here that need to move. We'll start with this guy, who only moves on a 6. So he gets an anchor token. Well, yeah, he gets an anchor token. And then this guy moves on. How is he running? He is running. See, the wind is in this direction. So he is running close hauled. So he does get to take, he gets a movement point for every 5 or 6. And he doesn't either, so we need 2 more anchor tokens. They're just going to sit there. Wait a minute. If you fail everything, he does not. He actually gets the 1 bonus point. He doesn't get a bonus point because he's in irons, heading directly into the wind. He at least gets to move he gets his 2 sailing points. So he can come up to here and then turn like so. And that should keep him out of irons as well. I think irons is 30 degrees. I think if he makes that turn, he's going to be in irons. He doesn't have enough points to do anything else. Okay, so that's it for movement for those guys. Now he can make a discipline check. And he only gets to roll 4 dice. But he succeeds, so the anchor goes bye-bye. This happens after movement. So because he's got the anchor in place, he only moves on. See, this is going to be 7 dice for him. Not you. He succeeds, the anchor. Oh, he only gets 1 movement. Oh, but he does get to reroll his 1s. So because of that, he gets 2 movement. We'll do those first. He has to move 2 inches before he turns. There's our 2-inch movement, and he can turn like so. And then we'll just go ahead and sail on by to right. Actually, he's going to stop right there. He's just an exchange broadsides, brig on brig. Then he can make a discipline check. And as he gets to roll these. With a 6, he gets to remove that anchor. Oh! You know, come to think of it, because of the anchor, he doesn't get to make that extra maneuver. He's going to have to turn and stop right there. Because of the anchor, he only gets a movement point on his 6. Okay. Everybody's moved. Now it's time for broadsides. These guys get to broadside first. Once again, it's going to be a total of 5 dice. Nobody is launching down the prow. Maybe 6. He can lend his bowspritz if he's within 6 inches. So the key here is if they're lending support to another attack, you use the range for the furthest away. So if he's 7 inches away, everybody's going to be hitting on 5s. But because he's within 6 inches, they're all going to be hitting on 4s. So it's going to be his 5 dice. No, his 4 dice, plus his 1, plus his 1. So it's a total of 6 dice on this guy. We're going to get 2 hits, and that is all. He's going to have 1 save, and he gets 1, but that lowers their shot clock down to 2. Then we oh, you know, I didn't move him, did I? Let's go back and do that. When you start entangled, when a ship starts to move, it may choose to disengage. It cannot attempt to remove its anchor token while engaged. To disengage, roll for sailing points. That's going to be 6 dice. And he's only going to get them. Does he get to reroll? No, he does not. So he only gets 1. May spend points normally, but must move far enough to no longer be in contact. All right. So he does get to move his 2 inches away, like so. And it says when you're entangled, you don't get to try to remove your anchor token. So he doesn't get the chance to remove his anchor token, but because he's no longer entangled, I think he does. He's got a discipline of, what is it, 8? Seems a little high for pirates, but with 1/6, he's no longer entangled. And then we were in the middle of shooting. So they did all their shooting. He's going to take 1 shot at him. And he misses. Then we've got 1 more set of shots. This little brig is going to take a shot at him. And he hits. And with a hull of 3, it's blocked. Then we got 1 more shot here. We'll go ahead and take the shot there. Check the range is 5 inches, so he's going to hit on 4s with a gunnery of 5, and he is re-rolling any 1s. We'll re-roll that. You only get 1 re-roll, so he does 2 hits, and we're going to block it. Block 1 of them. Their shot clock goes down to 1, and he is now anchored. He's got some damage he's going to have to deal with. The last thing we need to do is smooth out those waves. We get a nice flat, calm sea here. Then we move on to initiative. The Navy gets first initiative. I'm going to try to move this guy first. He is going to roll 7 dice, and as per usual, he's only going to get a sailing point on a 6. So he gets 1. And he's going to be able to drift ahead 2 inches. He is now done moving, and he can make a discipline check to try to remove 1 of those damage tokens. Rolling 7 dice, looking for a success. We get it. Damage token goes bye-bye. We didn't get to do that last time because we were entangled. By trying to make that boarding action, he gave up the right. You don't get to remove the anchor token until you remove the damage tokens. Then we're going to roll for this guy, who is only going to move on a 6. So he does not move. What's worse, he gets an anchor token. Oh, he does get his free move of 2 inches. But he does have the anchor. He's only going to move on 6s, and he does not get his free movement. He's only going to move on 6s, and he gets 1. But he does get to re-roll these guys. Looking for 6s. He only gets to move 2 inches, and it's going to be like so. Then we'll rotate the 30 degrees. And we've got 1 more guy rolling for... Oh, no, he moved? He moved, he tried. Okay. Then we're going to roll for this guy. The little guy gets 7 re-rolling ones. And he does have an anchor, so he gets to move twice. He gets 2 sailing points. And because the wind is at his back, and he's turning away from the wind, he can move. Let me double check that. If the wind is off your port, in this case is off his starboard, he can turn away from the wind for 1 sailing point. So he can actually turn 90 degrees and then move 1 inch to put him right there. So he's got a nice shot across the bow of this guy. He does still have the anchor. He does have the discipline. He gets his 6, the anchor goes away. And then the last ship to move is going to be him. He is going to be looking for 4s. He does... Oh, I don't think he's supposed to get the reroll. No. He was. This is going to be 6 dice. Looking for 4s. Gets 2. So we'll bring him up to here. And because he's turning away from the wind, he can turn 90 degrees. And then we'll move him 2 more inches to there. So they've got some support against each other. I'm not too worried about that guy, although he does get to fire first. So we'll start with all 3 of these. We're going to try to sink this ship. We only need to score 2 damage. So it's going to be... we'll double check that range. I think it's within 6 inches. That is within 6 inches. All right, good. So he's going to get all of his gunnery dice. 4, 5, and 6. All of them going after that brig. The 4s and 5s are all hits. This is an exploding die. We've got 5 hits so far. 6 hits altogether. The brig doesn't save any of them. On 6 hits, the brig goes down. So because of those 6 hits, this actually goes down to below 0. Oh, here go the fireworks and the dogs. Then the boat sinks. And because its hull was 13, we're just about done here, just so we're clear. If we had a large raging battle going on, and we actually had, let's say we had 5 points left, the ship takes 3 damage, which takes us down, or it takes 4 damage, which that takes us down to 1 point. And then the ship sinks from the damage. We lose 1 point, because you lose 1 point for each hull. Oh, you know what, though? I forgot one rule. When you take damage, the maximum this can go down is the number of hull points on that ship. So if he was sitting at 2 points, if this die, I can't remember what it was at, if this die was at 3, we would only have taken 1 morale damage for all of the cannonballs, putting us down to 2, and then 1 for the ship sinking. That's an important rule. The guys that have a hull of 30 points, you can lose 3 damage to your morale if they take 3 damage from a single broadside, right? That's kind of important to remember, that the amount of morale damage you suffer is limited. I don't think I did that in this game at all, but like I said, it's a shakedown cruise. We're working our way through, trying to imprint in our brain the natural order, kind of the natural geometry of how all of these wonky, weird, whether, you know, the direction you're moving makes a difference in how far you can move. As a landlubber, that's a very strange idea for me. So trying to build up in our mind how to make it as easy as possible to recognize the difference. And I think that as we move forward, you might not even need this so much anymore. You should be able to just kind of look at it. And unless it's really close to the line to know whether it's running or whether you're reaching. And to be fair, that is another thing that I didn't pay too much attention to, is that when you're running and reaching, there is a little bit of a difference. If you're running, you can't, what is it? If you're running, you cannot tack or wear. So you can't turn up to 90 degrees. If the wind is directly at your back, yeah, you get the 4+, but you can't make the 90-degree turns. Oh, and that ship's even backwards. So if the wind's directly behind you, you are limited to 30-degree turns at any given moment. You need to have the wind off of one of your quarters to be able to make that sharp 90-degree turn. And of course, it costs 2 points to do that if you're turning into the wind, and 1 point if you're turning against the wind. So that would be 2 points to turn like that versus 1 point. So it's easy to tack if that wind is off of one of your port quarters. Hard to turn up into it, and then you move slower. Not always, because the dice could come up right. But remember that as a large-scale game like this, where you've got lots of stuff going on, there's a lot of things abstracted. It could be that your crew had a really bad breakfast. It could be that your ship had a lot of momentum. It could be that it caught a wave just right that pushed that little extra distance, or that there was a shoal there that you just rubbed up against and then that slowed you down if the dice come up wrong. So bear in mind that I've seen online a lot of complaints about this game not being realistic because it doesn't give you precisely realistic moves on every single individual game turn. However, I'm inclined to think that the game works fine on average because over the course of a 2-hour game, on average, it's going to work out fine. And that's really what we're looking for here is, fairly predictable results with a couple of wild swings just to keep things interesting. Because here in the House of Wargaming, we like keeping things interesting. Until next time, I'm praying for you.